better? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I won't start over. So tomorrow, 5:30 a.m., Wolf Creek Park. We have 200 boats to launch. A lot of boats, but we can get it done. Friday, again, the same thing, 5:30 a.m. Takeoff is at 7:30 for both days. The field is cut to 25 on Saturday, so they don't need us on Saturday, but they do need us tomorrow and on Friday. If you can show up, let's go fishing. Thanks.
Martha, you're going to be there, right? All right. Reminder that the Education Committee meets today at 1 in the library.
This is the last announcement about Lindenwood Gardens until the workday, which is on Saturday. We start at 8:30, and we usually put about 2 o'clock. And if you can't come for all day, then just show up as much as you can, an hour, 2 hours. So I wanted to give a little idea of the works. We got cleanup work, we got construction work, of course, gardening work, and it's all on this page and this page. So it's really important that we get the support of Rotary, because over the last 17 years, we've been doing this twice a year, and it's made a wonderful difference in Lindenwood Gardens. And Rotary's been a driver. So thank you.
Hi guys, I am being Mary Richardson today, who is in Tulsa with her husband, who had a kind of an emergency heart flutter. He's okay now, but anyway, Mary asked me to come and make one of her announcements. So I declined the wings because we are talking about Fairy Fest, which is June 6th at 6/6/26. Okay, so I need to be brief, so I've used a little bit of show and tell here. I am the logistics and safety captain for Fairy Fest. So Fairy Fest is like 900 8-year-old girls and boys, I guess, and their elderly grandparents all coming to Lindenwood to kind of play in the woods. So what's happened in the past is that people have parked all over, and they have little kids running across Harbor Road. And, you know, one of these days the kid's going to get hit with a car, and it's going to be awful. So they put me in charge of safety. So in order to do that, I need, and also not to be kind of a jerk about safety, but also to make it be a Disney experience, to make it really, really fun for the kids. And make it pleasant for the folks who are trying to park and get to the place where the Fairy Fest is. So therefore, I need parking lot wranglers. So if you would sign up in the back to help me on June 6th, 2026, like I said before, I need at least
approach and how you help the town. Again, thank you. And I will be back in April for the robotics.
I've got a quick announcement. In 1985, Rotary took on the role of eradicating polio. I just attended Presidential Lake Training Seminar in Fort Smith last week. The update from Rotary is there's only one polio case this year in Pakistan.
Now for the introduction of our program. It's my pleasure to introduce Vaughn Castor. Vaughn has been tracking storms for News on 6 dating back to the Jim Giles era. He joined KOTV in 2003 and has witnessed some of the most extreme weather imaginable. Vaughn started his chasing career alongside his brother Val in the spring of 1986 when both were still pursuing their college degrees. That spring, they witnessed a supercell thunderstorm that eventually produced a tornado in central Oklahoma. Vaughn's most memorable chase was the devastating 2013 Moore E5 tornado. He tracked, reported, and eventually aided in rescue and cleanup following the massive storm. Vaughn has also tracked and reported on several of the most devastating recent hurricanes. He's tracked most of the Gulf hurricanes in the past 12 years, including Katrina, Wilma, Rita, Ike, Florence, Michael, Laura, and Ida. Vaughn is a native Oklahoman, born in Ardmore, raised in Tulsa. He graduated from Eastwood High School in the spring of '83, merely a young lad, and went on to obtain his bachelor's degree from Oklahoma Baptist University in '89. He resides in Muskogee with his wife, Kimberly. They are active members of First Baptist Church, along with their 5 children, Hillary, Haley, Kaylin, Colby, and Jared, and their 3 grandchildren, Kale, Channing, and Lane. When Vaughn is not pursuing severe weather, guess what? He enjoys hunting, fishing, golf, and shooting sports and landscape photography. So please welcome Vaughn Castor.
I don't usually use a mic because I can usually project pretty good, but I'm going to use it today. Clint, where's Clint at? Is he still in there? I feel for you, buddy. I do karaoke. I got kind of pushed into a karaoke gig, and I have my own karaoke gig now, and I have to force them to sing into the mic and not down here, right? So I feel for you, buddy. It takes a little used to get into used to a mic, but so my name's Vaughn. I'm old. I'm an old chaser. Graduated college in graduated high school in '83, and college in probably '90 because I played sport. I played baseball throughout my college career, and it took me a while to graduate. So I'm not as smart as my older brother. So anyway, he got me into chasing a long, long time ago in '86. In 2000, Channel 6 called me and said, you know, your brother chases for Gary England in Oklahoma City, and would you like to chase for us? And at the time, I had my own business, and I said, well, I can, but only periodically. And so I came on with Channel 6, and it's really, really grown from ground level, which we provided everything that we needed for ourselves, and they provided nearly anything. So we brought in our video to the station, and the next day you would see that video on the morning show or the afternoon show. So these days, our youth demand video right now, and that's what we've gotten to. So I used paper maps to begin with, and that was very, very difficult. But now we have all that right here at our hands, and it's made it so much simpler. But it's also caused a lot more traffic out on the roads when we're chasing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into that whole spiel there. It's going to take me a while to get through this, and so if anybody needs to leave, that's fine. I understand that. In a little bit here, you'll probably some of y'all probably want to leave, but that's okay. I understand. You're probably an OU fan if you want to leave. So that's just giving you a hint. All right. So all I'm going to do is press this, right? Ron. Yeah. So I've been chasing them a long time. Went through a lot of windshields. Went through a lot of miles. That 840. That's an old number. It's probably closer to 1 million now, but went through a lot of windshields. It probably averages once a year, but so far this year, so good, and we're early in it. There's my family. That's an older picture. Here's a newer picture, and there's my favorite. That's my grandchild. And I think I have a career beyond this as an agent. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl. There's me and my wife, Kimberly. We like to do a lot of things together. She says I have too many hobbies, and she considers this a hobby also. But at least I make some money from it. So, I like to hunt, play golf mostly these days, but and really enjoy fishing when the fishing is good. Flint. So in my past career, I have, when my kids were growing up through high school, I took on photography. And that, my wife tells me that I take everything to extreme. Imagine that. So that photography with my kids led me to bigger and better things. And I finally got a gig with a AP type of company called Castor Media. And through Castor Media, I got to shoot the Ryder Cup in 2016, inside the ropes at the Ryder Cup, which is pretty much once in a lifetime. Once in a lifetime. Fortunately, America won on that one. I got to shoot OU, softball, and football several years in a row. And if you are an OU fan or an OSU fan, you will recognize that shot. That is several years ago when Tyreek Hill ran back a punt that should not have been punted again. So that you must be go Pokes. All right, yeah. So anyway, yeah, great moment for OSU, and that was at OU, by the way. My wife loves Christmas. This is our first year at our new house, 2021. There's, wait a minute, I skipped a year, didn't I? 2022, 2023, 24. There's an aerial view of 24. And there's last year. So we all know where that's going, right? It's proceeding in that direction. Promise you that. Elsewhere, I do some work for my son-in-law, who is a road builder. That's Parker Dam on the Colorado River. And we built the road around Parker Dam, through Parker Dam, and around on both sides, California side and Arizona side. And I do a lot of QC stuff for him. So, we cranked it up a little bit, didn't we? All right, if y'all want to leave now, that's fine. Because I am a Longhorn fan. I have a lot in Muskogee, Oklahoma that we did not build on because we built our house. We bought a house instead of building one. That is my lot. And to give you an idea of what it actually looks like, there it is. So I overseeded with fescue, and I have OU fans all around me that absolutely hate me. But I keep that up and going, and surely out of this many people, we got some Texas Longhorn fans in here, right? Yeah, all right. There we go. And by the way, that's a big honor to speak to y'all. This is the biggest. I am actually kind of nervous, even though I speak to probably hundreds of thousands you won't get me to shut up unless everybody leaves. So, 2021, I had prostate cancer. Almost every man in here is going to die with prostate cancer. You won't die of it, but you will die with it. Most of you. I urge you to go get checked. It's very simple. PSA test or your blood test, and that's very simple, just doing a blood test. So go do it. It saved my life, and it was very simple. They just removed it after a couple years, and all's good. I'm still standing here, still chasing. Actually, the day before I had my prostate removed was the Coweta tornado, and we'll see some video of that a little bit later. So there's my truck, just the outside view of it. Here's the inside view really quickly. There's a little bit going on there on the front dash. Couple, 3 cameras, monitors, iPads, all that good stuff. There's the thing that makes everything click that goes back to the station. That's called a DeGiro. That's a bonded cellular unit. It has 6 or 7 different carriers in it. AT&T, US Cellular, all the others. And it sends everything back through different hoses, comes back into the station, and that's why we get video that is really not delayed. Usually about a half a second delay. So live video. There's on the right-hand side there, that's the antenna or the transmitter stuff that sends it back, the video back. That's an anemometer on the left-hand side and a camera that I use for my Facebook feed on the right-hand side. All right, a little bit about Channel 6. That's our new building. That was new about 10 years ago, not new anymore. There's our people there, Travis, Alan, Stacia. They're the top 3 there. And then our newest is the top right, Chloe. And then, of course, we got the other 2, Stephen and I'm wrong. I'll remember it later. Okay, there's the studios. They've actually changed them since then. Actually, they just changed them about a month ago. So, but it looks pretty much the same. Green screen. There's our what the meteorologists look at when we got video coming in on RIM 36, top right, or right-hand side. That's my specific. That's always monitoring my camera. And there's the board that they use when we call in, and how they send our audio signal back out over air. They would call it the Getner or the Comrex. So, all right. As mentioned earlier, I've chased a lot of hurricanes. Some of them for Channel 6, a lot of them for CBS, National, and then some of them I just paid for my own, which my wife does not like, but I always tell her it's getting paid for, even if it's not. So, I'm pushing the wrong button. There we go. There's Ida. You're always wanting, if you're chasing storms, hurricanes, you're trying to get in the eye. And in Louisiana, it's so hard because there's really the coastline is so remote along Louisiana. As soon as you get into Florida, it's a lot better. Or even parts of Texas is a lot better. But you're trying to get in the eye. The eye wall is amazingly frightening with 150-mile-an-hour winds, and you're just hunkered down in a very safe place, which is usually a parking garage, if you can find one. And on remote areas, you cannot find those. And you don't want to be in remote areas because the storm surge is what gets you in a hurricane. It's not the winds, it's the storm surge. And that's what kills a lot of people. There's Laura, Hurricane Laura. And we thought we were in prime position for that eye, and all of a sudden it took a left. And we got the eye wall the whole time. So there's Michael, one of the strongest hurricanes to hit the U.S., the strongest in the last many years. It was Cat 5, hit Mexico Beach and Panama City. took a really, really hard hit. We were in the eye wall the whole time on that one. Didn't get the eye on that one either. So, all right. So what we want to hear about here is supercells and tornadoes and our weather around here. Supercells, that picture is rarely seen in eastern Oklahoma. That is what they call a low precipitation supercell. And we don't have those over here because we usually have HP storms, which means it's raining the whole time. Wherever that storm is, it's raining. And you never get a good look at the storm. Once in a while, we'll get a storm like that over here, and then there'll be really so many pictures taken of it because it's really cool to look at. Mother Nature is incredible, especially out in western Oklahoma, where this was taken. But LP storm just means that it's a supercell thunderstorm. That's a mesocyclone. That area you see that looks like a barber pole or stacked pancakes or whatever you want to call it. But there's no precipitation right there. And that's what makes it so easy to chase in western Oklahoma. We always make fun of them because they have it really easy. They can see for a long way. They have roads every mile. Over here, we don't. We have trees, hills, roads that do this. You never know which way you're going. And so when they come over here, they're very frustrated. But so be it. They can stay on their side of the state. I'll go over there and chase when I can. All right, there's Delaware County. In the last 75 years, the number of tornadoes that have went through Delaware County. Grove, incredibly, has escaped, Grove proper, has escaped any tornadoes over the past 75 years. There's been some come across the lake, of course. There's some just skirt the edge of it. And the most amazing thing to me, which I was just researching before I came, is that the strongest tornado that has been in Delaware County since 1950 is an EF3. And that is just amazing to me. Take, for instance, Scotland. That was EF5, just to the north of here. So, unfortunately, that just means you're due at some point in time. So, count your blessings. Lots of tornadoes have been through here, but strongest is EF3. And I tell you, if that's all we ever got, EF3, EF4, and EF5, that's what kills people. That's when you see fatalities. EF2, EF1, EF0, you can survive them. And I have in my vehicle, which is not a very smart thing to do, but I couldn't help it. Nighttime stuff over here just gets really good. But you can survive those, especially in your house, as long as it's not a trailer house. Okay. And I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to read any of this. These are basically all the tornadoes in Delaware County. And if you can see the orange, those are the EF3s. The very top of the page is from like 1900. And what was interesting to me, why I put this up here, is that there was 4 fatalities in like whatever it is, 01 or something like that. But since then, there has been no fatalities in Delaware County because of tornadoes. Make that distinction. But there's been several EF3s. There's the bottom part of the list. And most of them are EF0 to 2. And like I said, those are very survivable. But thankfully for the lake, anybody that has a boat out there on the dock, you're thankful that there has been no strong winds but there has been strong winds, but no tornadoes come through there. Because Cherokee, Tin Killer has been ravaged lately. So be thankful. This is a supercell thunderstorm. It's a time lapse that I took out by Ponca City. And I've always wanted to do time lapses, and this just ended up in a perfect place and during the daylight hours, and I could sit in one spot pretty much. But it'll kind of show you the evolution of a supercell. This is already a mature supercell. You can see the rain shaft on the right. And then you can see a clear base on the left there, which is called a rain-free base. That's where the inflow comes into that rain-free base on the left. And then of course, the rain is is everything coming down. And then up top, of course, we have it being aerated out up there by the 500 millibar winds that take it off to the northeast. And I think it'll play, maybe. Ron, how would you play that? There we go, down at the bottom, right there. There we go. No play? Okay. All right, we'll skip that one then. That's good. All right. So in 2024, we had a record tornado year here in Oklahoma. And that's saying something because we've had a lot of years of tornadoes since they've been keeping count. We had 152 tornadoes in 2024. Previous record was 19 with 147. Thankfully, in 2024, most of those, besides the Barnesdall tornado, were fairly small. There were a few other big ones, but thankfully there was not that many fatalities. I think in Barnesdall there was a couple fatalities, unfortunately. And I think we're going to just slide here pretty quick. Yeah, right here. So up to this date, in March, believe it or not, we've had 25 tornadoes in Oklahoma. And that is way ahead of average. And I look back, and it seems that every time we have a March above average tornado, we usually have above average tornadoes throughout the year. There are a few years that we had below average, but the majority of them were above average. And I don't want to get ahead of Travis on his spring forecast, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and say I think we'll have an above average year. We've already had 25, and unfortunately, we've had 4 fatalities already. Normally, we don't have hardly any fatalities. And in 2026, we should not have any fatalities from tornadoes. We have enough information out there from your phones to your TVs to your iPads to whatever to get information to take shelter. So that's what we're out there for. To be honest with you, that's what we're out there. We're out there to save lives. Hopefully people listen. Sometimes you can't do anything about those that don't listen. So anyway, that's what we're out there to do, save lives. It's hard to see that, but that gives a count of there is nowhere in the continental United States that's free from tornadoes. We have like 62 on average a year, which with our small state, that's a lot of tornadoes per capita of counties. What do we have, 77 counties? So that's almost a tornado a year in each county. There's our scale. Everybody knows, if you've lived here long enough, you know the scale. 0 to 5, 5 being the biggest. And like I said earlier, EF3 and 4 and 5, those are the ones that cause fatalities. In cars, in mobile homes, even the EF5s, you can be in a house if you're not underground. In an EF5, well, I shouldn't say that. I've come to the fact to understand that if you have an above ground safe room, you're fine. They test those things good enough, unless a semi gets thrown into it. That's the only thing. And if a semi gets thrown into it, then you were meant to go that day, right? Okay. Above ground safe rooms are perfectly fine. And the older I get, the more I wish I had an above ground one. I have a below ground one, but I know that one of those days is coming where I probably won't be able to get down there, and neither will my wife. And so eventually we'll probably have an above ground safe room. So, traditional tornado alley, and I don't want to get into politics, but this is getting there. That's traditional tornado alley, and that is, in my mind, officially still tornado alley. There's a lot of talk about it all moving over there to Tennessee and Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Yes, they have a lot of tornadoes up there. They have their season. This is their season over there. And our season comes in April, May, and June. Then Kansas, Nebraska, June, July, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of that. It moves. The only difference is from now as to last, 30 years ago, everybody has a cell phone, has a camera. You see every tornado now that happens. And the population is a lot greater over in Mississippi. There's just a lot of people. And so you're going to see every tornado that happens. So that's my perspective. You can take it or leave it, but Tornado Alley has not changed. Everybody still gets a lot of tornadoes in this whole general area. What's surprising to a lot of people is that heat kills more people every year than anything else. Heat and then flooding. Those are the two major killers in Oklahoma every year. Tornadoes, they take a distant third, fourth, somewhere in there. Cold causes some, lightning causes a few, not very many. But heat is the #1 killer. And in my opinion, flooding is the #1 killer. Because there's a lot of people that unfortunately drive through creeks that should not be driving through them. They don't understand how powerful water is, and it happens so fast that you can't correct. Everybody here knows what severe weather is. 1 inch or larger hail, that's the size of a quarter or bigger. And 58-mile-an-hour winds, that number comes from, I'm not a math major. I have no math in my head at all. I graduated with an English degree, so there's a specific reason for that 58 miles an hour. I'm not going to go into it because I don't understand it myself. All right, we're going to go through just a little quick radar analysis. Reflectivity. When you see that on TV or on your apps, you'll see all the bright reds and all of that. The yellows, the greens. That is the rainfall, basically, how heavy it is. Then it gets into hail. When you get them bright colors, the dark colors, goes to hail. The thing I want to talk about is the velocity. So velocity is what tells you which way the winds are going in that storm. So radar sends out a beam, and it comes back. And it tells you which direction, when it bounces off that drop of rain, which direction that rain is traveling. Okay? And that velocity, if it's moving towards the radar, it is green. If it's moving away from the radar, it's red. And so in that picture, that radar site is going to be down here to the right. Okay? Next to this. So down here somewhere to the right. And the tighter those get, the brighter color that those get, the bright green, almost white, and then the red that almost turns white, that's an area that is strong rotation. Not necessarily at ground level. And that's why they need us. Because that could be, depending on how far it is from the radar, it could be up 2,000, 3,000 foot that radar beam is shooting. So that's why they need ground observation, which is what we're doing. And we don't only do it for the TV station, they send that information back to national and to local emergency management. So it all gets used, the ground surveillance, which is what we're doing, and that's basically the velocity. The velocity signatures tell everything in a storm. So not a lot of times, but sometimes over here we'll see a little hook echo like this in a severe thunderstorm, a supercell thunderstorm, and that tells you that's a pretty bad storm. You don't want to be in the direction of that. You want to, if you don't have a safe room of that kind of storm, you probably want to drive south if you got a way out. Just to be quite honest with you. That is a strong supercell thunderstorm that has a violent rotation with it. And in a second here, that little bottom ball that you see down there, it's called a debris ball. It looks like rain, hail, something like that, but it's not. It's trees, boards, parts of houses, roofs, different stuff. And these days we have a way of telling if that's actually what it is, because there's a thing called correlation coefficient. And that's on the radar app. If you have a radar app, you usually have that in there to click on. And correlation coefficient tells you everything that is showing up that is not rain or hail. So it tells you that, okay, that's part of a tree. You know, it doesn't tell you it's part of a tree. It just means that that is not rain or hail. And when it gets very strong signals back, you know, there's something has been on the ground and has thrown something up in the air. And way up in the air, which the radar's hit. So the debris ball is a clear signature that there's been a tornado on the ground. Now that debris ball can stay with it after the tornado lifts because that debris is still up in the air. It's got to fall at some point. It will fall at some point in time, whether it be a car, whatever it is. All right. There's what my grandma and grandpa had, and that was great. But we have transformed to this. And this was in the Moore tornado of 2013, survived perfectly fine. And that's what a lot of people are going to, is that kind of cellar. I call it cellar still, safe room, whatever. Still, it's below ground partly, and most of the time that is going to be just fine. There's an above ground safe room that made it through the 13 tornado. And it survived perfectly fine, except if you get close and examine it, it's got dents, it's been hit pretty hard with boards, with whatever. But of course, it survived totally fine. There is an aerial view. You can see that little blue box on the left. So there's the damage, and to be quite honest with you, I'm surprised there was, in that tornado, there was that much damage, much debris still left on the ground. A lot of times, in an EF5 like that, there will not be any debris to find. It'll be well off to the northeast. All that debris, the slab will be swept clean. All you'll see is a copper pipe shooting out water. Another pipe shooting out natural gas. And there won't be any carpet, there won't be any tile, there won't be anything. And it's really hard to imagine, but tornadoes have that kind of power. They can do that. They can also scour asphalt. They can take asphalt up, and you can see exactly where they went through asphalt. Just stronger tornadoes. Pretty amazing. There's that safe room, above ground safe room, with all the debris piled back on it. They all survived in that one. This is the El Reno tornado, which was classified as an EF3, but was measured at over 300 miles an hour. So go figure. If a tornado does not hit something structural, that engineers can say, yes, it took 300-mile-an-hour winds to bend this metal, it cannot be classified as an EF5. So there's probably been a lot of EF5s out there. They just went through fields and demolished barns and stuff like that that weren't very structurally qualified to rate an EF5. All right, but the El Reno tornado, of course, it killed 4 chasers that day. Quite smart chasers, or 3 of them were very, very intelligent chasers. All right, as I mentioned before, trailer houses, mobile homes, RVs, any of that, which you have a lot of RVs around here. Not safe. I don't care if it's 80-mile-an-hour straight line winds, not safe. They can tear up stuff in a hurry. Vehicles, not safe to be in at all. That's a vehicle out there in the middle. And I believe that was the 99 Moore tornado, because I actually went out and looked at, I don't think it was that one, but I went out and looked at one in a field similar to that, just a pile of metal. It looked like from the road, it looked like a pop can. You got up there, it was a pile of metal, and the only way you could tell it was a vehicle was the BMW emblem on the steering wheel. So vehicles are not a good place. In a lower tornado, 0, 1, maybe a low end 2, I wouldn't mind being in a vehicle because our vehicles these days have a lot of safety. All those airbags, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of safety in those vehicles. So I don't know. That's a toss-up. Whether you want to be one in a low-end tornado, in a high-end tornado, not at all. Not at all. It will take that one. It'll take a vehicle and throw it a mile. It'll bounce it along the ground for miles. And it's just incredible to understand how powerful that wind is and that suction to take that and lift it up and just bounce it around all the way around the tornado. And you can imagine what happens to it. And if there was somebody in it, just not a good deal. That's an older model truck. I think there's a gone fishing sign on the very front of it. But if he was in it, he's not gone fishing, for sure. But that's what tornadoes can do, just wrap it around the tree. So I've been in a couple tornadoes, and they were very scary. But we're getting off tornadoes now. We're getting into electrical stuff. I was on a tornado that was going through eastern Oklahoma between Porter and Haskell. And there was a tornado on the ground along the river south of me, and I was up north of it trying to get back south. And this road that you take between Porter and Haskell, it's a nice road, great road, but the winds were so strong that right in front of me it knocked down a power line, and I didn't see it until I got up on it, swerved over, and got stuck. But what happened before I got stuck was it wrapped the electrical line around the top of my truck, and the top of my truck has got a anemometer up there, and it wrapped around the metal. And the bad thing was the line had just come down and was not dead. And so I made it go dead through my truck because it grounded out underneath my truck. It basically blew out my tires. But thankfully, I thought I was going to heaven that day, honestly, because I didn't know if I was going to have to jump out and fry or stay in and fry. Because I knew if I jumped out in the water, things were not going to be good. So, anyway, very scary moment that I had, and I sat there for 4 hours waiting for somebody to come cut that line for me to get me out of there. You can see what it did to my tires. It blew out. You can see the steel belts through the tread there. Anyway, brand new set of tires for that year, and $2,500 later, I'm getting into a new set of tires. All right, there's another video, but I'm going to go to a different. So I have several videos here, but in my truck, you saw a screen in there. One of the screens is a GPS. And as all law enforcement know, you've got to have GPS to guide you wherever you need to go. All right? And it has to be reliable. Very reliable.
Well, this might pass, Justin.
We're going to go to this one, right? So if your GPS is not reliable and the road doesn't go through, you're in trouble. Because that means you have to come around, turn around, and go back the other way. And me and JD was a chaser with Channel 6 several years ago. We're great friends, and we went down to Texas to chase, and he had a rinky-dink GPS system in his vehicle, and here's what happens when you have that. Go, Ron. So we're turning around. We're down this road, we're turning around right now. And we're coming back. The tornado's on the ground to our left.
That's the tornado. Now you need to say,
What do I do?
back up.
So he's asking what to do, and I said back
Can I
up.
see this?
Just back up. And it's pretty hard to back up on a dirt road, on a muddy road. I have to hand it to him. He handled it pretty well. So we're right here by you can see the hay bales right there on the left. See those here? Oh, on the right, I'm sorry. And so when we get going again here, you'll see from the left side of the screen,
That's the tornado right there.
Move that camera.
Okay.
he's in a panic mode. And when you're getting in a situation that you cannot panic,
It's right there in front of us. Right, okay, you're good, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
so it ended up being like a EF2 tornado. Pretty much demolished your house just about a quarter mile north of this. But you see these winds here, that's not part of the tornado.
We're good.
Those are RFD winds.
We're good. Go ahead.
Let's move close.
That's what comes around the back of the tornado.
No.
I'm trying to talk him into going. And he's saying, no, we're sitting here. Wait till I clean my pants out.
Tire flash. Hang on.
So, anyway, that's all the fault of a faulty GPS system. Really.
We're not on the RFD yet.
Okay, we're good. Oh, there we go. All right. So that was because our GPS system just did not work right. I mean, we had a road that didn't go through. GPS said it went through, and it didn't. And that's what happened. That's how it can happen so fast. You can go from being in control to not in control at all. And thankfully, we just waited our time, backed up, and it went right by us. This is Kawita. This is the one I was talking about earlier, right before my surgery. I don't know if this has any sound to it. Ron? I think it does. So if you'll just watch the winds here through the lights, you'll see the winds coming from left to right, the way that vehicle was moving. If you can hear the sound, it's a little bit more interesting. And they're picking up about 90 miles an hour right here. And then you start seeing debris flying and hitting the truck, and the truck bouncing around, and it got pretty hairy. And that was not by instruction, that was by accident. Thankfully, everything turned out fine. So I assume there's no audio on that, Ron? Okay. So it threw something in my truck. There's the damage from it. It's pretty hard to dent that part of a truck, that lower level there. I never did know what it threw into it, but I know it took off some air conditioner units on Coweta High School. So it might have been something from that air conditioner unit that hit me, but pretty scary moment. So this is the Moore 2013 tornado. If you can just kind of run that by really fast, don't let it play it normal. Just kind of run it with your cursor and run it through it. You can actually see this thing dying out. Go ahead and run it if you can pick it up and move it. So it went from the EF5, and then 5 minutes later, or 3 minutes later, what we call, that is still a very strong tornado right there. But about 30 seconds later, it's what we call roping out. And it just disappears.
Yeah, it's roping out. It's roping out.
And it went from an EF5 with 200 and something mile an hour winds to rope out. Crazy, yes. And we're going over, aren't we? Okay, my bad.
You guys want to ask him some questions? While he's here, he said he would be happy to stay after. Also brought his storm chaser truck, so well, let's get a couple questions worked in. So
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks because, like you mentioned earlier, like what you're doing doesn't mean you're going to get home. You turn from a chaser to crisis and trauma and all the bad things that you see. In that Twist X, I'm assuming is who you were talking about. Now that you have all the data and can analyze it, did they do something wrong, or were they just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
So he's talking about the El Reno tornado. Twist X was a team that was very, very smart. They've been around for a long time. They were scientists. What happened to Twist Eggs? They were in Woodward. They were getting ready to do lightning. They were going into more lightning data and investigating lightning and what happens. They were in Woodward because they knew some storms were going to be happening. Well, when it all of a sudden went to a high risk day, which means tornadoes are imminent, they rented a car, they came down to Chase, and they got in the wrong spot. And the car that they were in could not fight the winds. When you got inbound winds to a tornado like El Reno, they could be 120 mile an hour. And if you don't have a strong vehicle, diesel, something to power through that, you're not getting through it. And the tornado just turned left and just caught them coming down that road, and they were found, each one of them was found about a mile from their vehicle. But they were very, very intelligent, knew what they were doing. He developed, the guy from Twistex, developed the saucer that you have a camera in that you put in front of a tornado and get data and video from inside a tornado. So he was a very smart man. I'm very unfortunate. Everything had to happen like it did for them to get hurt, get killed like that.
So when you raise your family in Oklahoma, it's funny how they don't really, they know when the TV's on in the spring, they just say, oh, Travis Meyer's on, it must be one of those days. So we're a Channel 6 family. But it's interesting because your name is famous also because the phrase has been uttered a couple times around our house. Oh crap, Vaughn is in Grove, and we know that it's pretty serious.
If I'm over here, something's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise you that. Yeah.
I do have several questions for you, but we don't have time for. I was going to ask who in the world would insure your truck, for example. But the real question I have for you is, how often do people in your profession die? It's obviously a very, very serious profession. So tell us a little bit more about that.
How often do they die? Not very often, but I think it's going to become more and more prominent because I think it's going to happen a lot more often because there's so many chasers. Most of the chasers these days do not work for any kind of station. They all work they get paid through YouTube. And that was before my time. Even though I do have a YouTube channel, I don't really use it a lot. I use a lot of Facebook streaming, but they're clogging up the roads. And I'm kind of speaking with fork and tongue if I say y'all don't belong out here because I love watching these storms too, But when it gets to be as bad as it is, real quick, sometimes out in West Oklahoma, there could be 200 cars coming down a road that has one car every other day. That's how bad it can be. So at some point in time, there's going to be a bad tornado that takes out a lot of chasers. It's just going to happen.
During tornadic weather, how is it determined where storm chasers?
I want to be on the best storm.
Well, do you get a sign?
Yeah, yes, I understand your question. So what Travis does is the day before, we'll kind of know what, there's going to be a bad day. So he'll say, okay, Bob, Bab, you go up here in Osage County. Vaughn, you go down here on 412, whoever it is. He'll kind of line us up, kind of in a line. And then when storms start happening, it basically just kind of morphs into, like, if there's one by me that looks very good, that's what I'm going to take on to that one. Sometimes that happens and those storms die out, so you have to move to another storm. I don't know why, but Travis gets so caught up in not having two chasers on a storm when in eastern Oklahoma, you need to have two chasers on a storm. Absolutely. But anyway, it just kind of morphs as it goes along. And like just the other day, I started out on the first tornadic storm. It died. And so I kind of resorted to going back towards the big storm and finally caught it down at Bowley and followed it all the way up. The big storm was a nasty looking storm, and I told him that on air. And that's when it put down the big tornado and killed those two people. So to answer your question, it just kind of morphs, but we're all out there in a certain position so we can try to cover everything.
I have a
there any kind of burned areas? Yeah, there would be some burned areas on the metal. If it was lightning, it's so hot that it'll burn. Lightning's so hot it'll scorch right through metal. But in my opinion, that's straight line wind, probably. Straight line winds can do a lot of weird things, especially in boat docks. I've seen boat docks just come apart because of it just being how they're built with metal on the lake. And more than likely, it was probably straight line winds that just kind of almost, like you said, exploded. And if you get them strong enough, it will tear a boat dock all to pieces, all to pieces. And that's sad because boat docks are, we've had a place on Eufaula for a long, long time. Fortunately, our boat dock has never been touched, but I've seen many boat docks that, especially on Tenkiller, that were just demolished, and the boats around them. So, I feel for you.
A couple questions for you about your truck. How much does it weigh? How big is the engine? And are you friends with the highway patrol when you're storm chasing? Like, you get speeding tickets.
The highway patrol are scared of storms. I can say that. I know it. I play golf with one almost every day. So, no, they're not scared of it. But they usually let us go when there's a storm ahead. And if they're even blocking a road, they'll usually let us go through because they know what we're doing. We're not trying to be dramatic. We're just trying to get information. My truck is just a normal 2500 Chevy 2020 model with a diesel.